In the early spring of the Tang dynasty, a scholar named Zhong was about to leave home to sit for the imperial examination when matchmaker Liu suddenly showed up at his door. She dragged him toward the stable and said, "Go on a blind date first before you take the exam all the young ladies are waiting. It won't delay your future." Without another word, matchmaker Liu pushed Zhong onto a fast horse, handed him the reins, and instructed, "Ride slowly along the street. The young ladies are waiting at their doorways. Shout to stop if you take a fancy to any of them, and I'll go arrange the match right away." Under the porches lining both sides of the street, several young ladies hoping for a match had already gathered. They were all dressed up with elaborate hairstyles. Some shyly touched their temples, others waved handkerchiefs boldly while the neighbors crowded around to watch the fun. But Zhong's mind was fully occupied with the upcoming exam. As he rode slowly down the street, he only cast hurried glances at the young ladies. Matchmaker Liu stamped her feet anxiously behind the horse and yelled, "Look carefully. Stop thinking only about your books." The first young lady, Miss Li, held a peach blossom and smiled sweetly, looking delicate and charming. Zhong was about to rein in his horse when matchmaker Liu shouted loudly, "There are prettier ones ahead. Don't stop in a hurry." The horse kept moving, and the smile froze on Miss Li's face. The second young lady, Miss Wang, tossed him a silk ball, lively and spirited. Zhong reached out to catch it but let it drop immediately, muttering, "I can't afford to miss the exam." Matchmaker Liu stamped her thigh in frustration, annoyed that he was failing to live up to her expectations. When they reached the end of the street, Zhong's eyes widened in surprise at a young lady carrying a hoe. She had just come back from the fields, her grey skirt dotted with mud. At that moment, the horse happened to stop. Matchmaker Liu hurried over at once and said, "You like her? I'll go arrange it right now." Zhong scrambled off the horse in a fluster and explained, "The horse stopped on its own." But matchmaker Liu quickly covered his mouth, turned to the young lady, and said, "He has taken a fancy to you. The wedding will be in 3 days. I'll go prepare the betrothal gifts right away." The young lady was so shocked that she clutched her hoe tightly. Zhong paced anxiously in the courtyard, slapping his forehead in frustration. Didn't he take a fancy to her at all? The horse just stopped because it was tired. His book boy urged him to go explain, but Zhong sighed. The betrothal gifts have already been sent. It's too late to say anything now. 3 days later, the wedding hall was bustling with excitement. Zhong, dressed in wedding finery, went through the marriage ceremony with a blank expression. Staring at bride Zhao's red veil, he couldn't help wondering, would this hasty marriage bring him fortune or misfortune? Zhong entered the bridal chamber, hesitated for a long time, then lifted the veil and froze instantly. Bride Zhao looked fresh and beautiful without any makeup, nothing like the rustic girl he had imagined. She smiled and said, "I just don't like wearing powder and rouge." Overwhelmed with guilt, Zhong apologized. "I'm so sorry. I made this hasty match without getting to know you properly, just glancing at you in passing." But bride Zhao handed him a copy of the Book of Songs and said, "I love reading too. Go take the exam with peace of mind. I'll take care of everything at home." The next day, when Zhong set off for the exam, bride Zhao came to see him off. She handed him a packet of dry rations and said, "Don't panic when answering the questions. Read them carefully, just like how you shouldn't judge people by their appearance." Zhong clutched the rations tightly and nodded firmly. Several months later, Zhong returned home in official robes, holding his exam success notice and shouting, "I passed." Bride Zhao walked forward to greet him with a smile, and the neighbors swarmed around to congratulate them. Matchmaker Liu squeezed to the front and said proudly, "See? It was my good eye that brought this happy match together." Key takeaway. Zuma Guanhua looking at flowers while riding a horse means to do things superficially, without going into depth, just like Zhong did during his blind date. It reminds us, when judging people or things, we must take the time to understand them deeply. Only then can we avoid making foolish mistakes by jumping to conclusions based on first impressions.